welcome back. It is week number 12 in the Virtues newsletter. I am your host, Barbara McKenzie, and I want to welcome all of the new listeners from Spotify and around the podcast platforms in the world. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to see there have been some changes, which I'll talk about a little bit here. But before we get into that, let me remind you this podcast is about soul development and incorporating virtues into our everyday life. The integration of body, mind, and spirit, and the synergy of the soul. It's so interesting when we need to hear something, it just shows up. Have you ever had that experience? It happened to me today. I sure needed to hear this at the end of my week of discernment. I've been steeping and soaking in the mess. But this post that I saw on Facebook this morning by Susan Freibort reminded me that I am not the mess. Susan writes, "You are not the wreckage. It's when you figured out how doing the things you love make you feel alive. The joy rippling from the breadth of your being becomes the sweetest revenge. It's when you align with peace by accepting how the violations against your body and spirit were never meant as a gift from God. You know now you don't have to keep moving and altering, shifting, or hiding. You understand healing isn't an activity or an expectation required to be whole, and it's not always something you want to share in an upload or therapy session. It looks like tender skin gradually forming over what was once a searing burn. When you slow down, when you rest, or when you're patient and try something new. It looks like validating moments when you ache and days when you can't stop crying. It's when the memory doesn't go away, but the exhale from remembering releases a little easier than it used to. It even looks like letting some of the things inside of you be what they are and loving them in the condition they're in. It's when you turn on the light and look around you. Yes, there was damage done, but you are not the wreckage. I needed to hear that. My week thinking about discernment has been an interesting one, and I have also come across a poem by Donna Ashworth, which is just beautiful, called Let Her Out. You should Google that. And for my Substack members, you can scroll down and have a look at what I've posted there to show. The other interesting artist that showed up for me this week, the week of discernment, and Ren is his name. So again, you're going to have to Google that. And for my Substack subscribers, scroll down and click the link and have a listen. There's a trigger warning, suicide, ideation, mental health, the internal dialoguing. It's definitely a 5-time Kleenex, tearjerker. I absolutely loved it, and it had me musing on discernment as I considered our beliefs, our thoughts, and our behaviors in juxtaposition of the fact that we know very little about these voices in our head. We have a lot to learn about the soul and our connection to it, or disconnection, and how that might compromise our health. I am no doctor, I am no scientist, although I sure wish I had have got my PhD and become a neuroscientist. I'd be researching the soul right now. We are here to do a virtues pick, and I am shuffling my deck of 100 virtues reflection cards from the Virtues Project. You can get your deck at virtuesshop.com or download the app at virtuesmatter.com. So, which angel of virtue will show up for us this week? It is cleanliness. Cleanliness is treating our bodies with respect and care by keeping ourselves clean, fresh, and healthy, eating pure foods, and breathing fresh air. We strive to keep our spirit clean and our mind clear. We rid ourselves of habits that do not serve our dignity. We think and speak in ways that honor others and ourselves. Cleaning up our mistakes gives us a fresh start. When we forgive, we cleanse our hearts of negativity. We do our part to care for the earth. Cleanliness around us makes our souls peaceful. Cleanliness within us brings more peace to the world. The back of the card has a quote from Abdul Baha, Selected Writings, page 146 to 147. In every aspect of life, purity and holiness, cleanliness and refinement exalt the human condition. Even in the physical realm, cleanliness will conduce to spirituality. The practice of cleanliness. I keep myself fresh and clean. I put only healthful things in my body. I cleanse myself of harmful habits. I am willing and able to clear up my mistakes. I forgive others and I forgive myself. I am a responsible steward of the earth. I keep my environment clean and beautiful. I am thankful for the gift of cleanliness. It frees my spirit. This is such a perfect card. Again, these angels of virtue are just beautiful gifts and components of who we are. So when I engage with cleanliness, I clean up my act. And I don't remember which episode it was, but I talked about cleaning up my act. And last week I was journaling about what is my next best step, and a perfect segue again to bring us up out of the goo and the stuff that keeps us struggling, maybe. The image on the card is flowing water and snow on rocks, and it reminds me of the flow that never stops, the constant undercurrent that is the spirit of who we are. And we are not just a part of that, we are all of that. And so I love this part about a dose of that kind of understanding, that mistakes are not accidents and not negative and not to be punished. They are opportunities to learn. They are gifts in the moments, and it's an opportunity. It's a teachable moment to learn about the embodiment of these virtues. So if you've been listening to all of the episodes, you'll hear that this is not a religious program, but there is a very spiritual edge to it. And just like this card says in the quote on the back, even in the physical realm, cleanliness will conduce. So when we create the environment of cleanliness, of caring, of joy, of compassion, whatever the virtue might be, it conduces to spirituality. And this is one of the things that I I discovered and was immediately drawn to about the Virtues Project is I had been 27 years studying energy medicine when I learned about the virtues and the 5 strategies, and instantly it was like a piece of the puzzle fit, and everything in my life made sense. Everything that had been previously not understood was clear. Yeah, it's an absolute beautiful thing. So, this week I am going to be looking at how do I practice cleanliness? How do I need to clean out my act? And what is it that I need to learn from the angel this week? One of the main themes rising up this week is how discernment has served me all my life, and I have been a wisdom guiding me through my life. And now at 61, I am returning to the innocence of my little gatekeeper. And that's what this art project is all about this week. The bath I have continued creating, but I trust the process, as I've said before, and I allow wisdom to rise up in me as I'm inspired to work. So this week I have been gathering the little disposable flossing brushes. They're metal and rubber, and it just seems such a waste to dispose of them. They're single-use items. So I've been saving them, and then just playing the other day, I turned the caps around and I stuck the little brush through the hole in the other end, and voila, all of a sudden I have arm sections and elbow joints and knee joints. And so I'm inspired for that to be the bones of my character. And then the beads that I feel inspired to incorporate, I've been using along with magnets in order to keep these body parts in place while I visualize and carry on with the creation process. Yeah, so it's just been so interesting while I think about, what is it that I'm steeping in and what's soaking off, what is the hardened layer that I am coated in, or that my character is coated in. What came up is this idea of stoicism and how my intention is to be a human having a spiritual experience. And I see those two things as very different. And I'd love to point your attention to a video for my Substack subscribers. Just scroll to the very bottom of the email and you will see a video I have posted from YouTube. Someone I follow named Jaza is a multimedia artist and a YouTuber, and he is talking about an experience of turning his day around and that how that led him to looking at virtues and how he uses the word stoicism, but it's just a really interesting video, and I was really inspired by it because he's an artist as well. I feel like we have a similar attitude in so many ways. Okay, so enjoy that. And that's me this week. Before I go this week, I want to mention the changes that have come to Anchor.fm, which is no longer Barb's World. It has changed platforms. It is now Spotify for podcasters. And at Substack, I have changed the URL to virtuesnewsletter.substack.com. So once again, I hope you have a wonder-filled week. And thanks for being here.